There's a storm across the valley. The clouds are rolling in. The afternoon is heavy on your shoulders. There's a truck out on the 4-lane, a mile or more away. The whining of his wheels just makes it colder.
Welcome to Community Forum. My name is Priscilla Almquist Olsen, your host. Today is June 3rd, 2021. This is my first interview without using Zoom. And I am delighted, and I'm sure many of you are delighted, to be able to be fully vaccinated and wander at will wherever. Today, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to welcome Michael Korn, and that's with a K, K-O-R-N. And many of you know Michael as the celebrated conductor of many orchestras in the region, and he has a lot of other talents too. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you. I'm also very happy to be here without the mask, in person and without the mask.
Yeah, it is
Such
wonderful.
a wonderful feeling.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It's called getting back to normalcy, I
hope
think.
so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so first of all, we want to announce that there's a big event coming up at the end of this month. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Of course. And that is Eastern Chamber Music Festival. We started the festival in 2016. So it will be our 5th time this June. It is a festival sort of maybe even threefold, as a matter of fact. So it has an educational component. The students, adult students, musicians, they come from Easton and many other towns in the area. In fact, even from far away. This year we have someone coming from New York. And the students are being coached by the faculty, and we have great faculty members, very international this year. Of course, we all do live in the United States, but our pianist is from Brazil, and our double bass player is from France. You can call me as at one time being from the Soviet Union and Israel, and we have another Russian violinist on the faculty as well. So we have a couple of originally from the United States musicians as well. So it's a very good international bunch. And there are a lot of coaching, performing that is going on during those 3 days.
So it's an educational experience for young students and maybe not so young students.
Younger and not so young. Our youngest students usually are maybe, we're trying to keep it at 21. Mm-hmm. But our older students are definitely in their, perhaps in their 80s. So
wow.
we have a wonderful range. It's very community-oriented event.
And so, tell us a little bit about the instruments that are being represented in this educational endeavor.
It started with strings only, but now we have string players, violins, violas, cello players, a double bass student. We have some wind players, some clarinet players, and flutists, and a couple of pianists this year as well.
So the faculty will be giving workshops and maybe hands-on help for some of these students.
Exactly, but the other aspect of the festival is actually the concerts for the community.
Right, and that's what we all look forward to.
That's right.
And you have, I suppose, have been in charge of choosing the music. Could you give us a little idea as to what the audience can expect?
Of course. Well, we will have 3 concerts. The first one is on June 25th. It is going to take place at the Immaculate Conception Church at 7:30 p.m. Each concert is about an hour long, so we try not to keep them overextended, and it goes without an intermission. So what will be performed at this concert? A quintet for flute and strings by wonderful American composer Amy Beach, who was writing, so it's a same time period of sort of the late Dvorak and going on. She was the first American woman composer in the symphonic genre. Wrote a very beautiful symphony called Gaelic Symphony and some chamber music. So we will play that piece. Then we will play a piece by Fanny Hensel. Her married name, Hensel, maybe not so familiar to everybody. Her maiden name was Mendelssohn. So she was Felix Mendelssohn's sister.
So there was a musical gene in that family.
That's right. She was a wonderful pianist on her own merit and a very good composer. Also wrote some chamber music. It's really very romantic.
Well, this sounds, yes, and it also sounds like a festival of women composers. So far, you've told us about two women composers.
Well,
was that intentional?
I am very, well, can I be honest with you? My intention was to have Amy Beach composition in the first concert and Fanny Hensel's in the second one, but that didn't work out. So we will play pieces by both women composers in the same concert. But yes, I did want to bring. I usually like bringing music that is not necessarily performed as often as the music that everybody is familiar with. Mm-hmm. My point here is that there is in classical music repertoire, so to speak, there's a very specific canon which has been around for probably good 200 years, and a lot of classical music pieces are they sort of being performed over and over again. Like everybody heard Beethoven's symphony or Brahms'
So, but
symphony.
I'm sure you're going to have some favorites because many of us like some of the same old.
That's true, and we will have some favorites. So in the second concert, we will play a piece by Felix Mendelssohn, sextet. So that is for violin, 2 violas. Let me keep counting: cello, bass, and the piano.
Oh, how lovely! My piano teacher was a member and I think president of the Mendelssohn Society in Brockton.
Wonderful.
Yes, and her name was Molly McNamara. I bet there are viewers here who remember her. And what do you think she charged per hour? It was 25 cents. That should tell you a little bit about my age, but nevertheless, and that was what I got as a babysitter too, an hour.
Priscilla, allow me to interrupt you. What do you think we will charge per hour?
Oh, I think it's priceless. But I have a funny feeling it's going to be free to the public.
Our concerts are free.
And does the Eastern Chamber of
public.
Commerce is a sponsor?
We are supported very well by the community.
So it's not just the chamber, it's individuals too who are
That's
supporting
right.
you?
It's individual, and those are the businesses. We are supported by Cultural Council, Eastern Cultural Council, and cultural councils in the area. We are supported by many just individuals. We are supported by the hometownie, the auto shop.
Oh,
I don't
yes.
know. I don't know exactly which direction it is.
Yes.
It is from here and Eastern Dental, and so we really have a very, very good.
That's great.
Very good support from the community.
Yeah. So I believe the 25th of June is a Thursday. Is that right?
25th of June is Friday.
Oh, a Friday.
Yes, so the 25th Friday, 26th is Saturday, and the concerts are at 7:30. The 25th, as I said, it's at Immaculate Conception Church. 26th, it is going to be at the Oaks Ames Memorial Hall, which
wonderful.
we also get a great support from them, and very, very grateful for the opportunity to
So
play.
Fred Ames has been a gracious
He
supporter.
has been a gracious supporter from the very beginning, from the very
That's
first.
great. And
first
Joan
festival.
Lundgren too. She is the rental agent, and you have interacted with her.
Absolutely, and the Ames Library as well. So it's really you cut me a little bit off guard, so I didn't come with the list.
Yeah, we don't
okay?
want to leave anyone out, so we better stop right here.
But it's really I am very happy to see that what I've started 5 years ago. So really, it now we have good, nice roots, and it's growing and it's blossoming.
Well, it's remarkable too. I mean, it's your contacts in the music world that has brought these people from France and Brazil and wherever. You know, they're probably in the States now, but they must be from New York and other faraway places.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And they love coming here. So they keep this weekend every year.
Yeah. Well, June 25th, that's a day for me to remember because that's my firstborn's birthday.
Then it should be easy for you to
It will be
remember.
very easy, right? So it sounds wonderful, and Immaculate Conception is a place where you have conducted
The Messiah.
the what?
Oh, the Sharon Community Chamber Orchestra.
Yes,
Yes.
but you also at Christmas did the Messiah.
Right.
And for several times I've been in the chorus and have really loved it. But I also have loved just sitting in the audience and listening and not having to think too much. It's really beautiful. I love the Messiah, and I think everybody here does too. It's quite a musical masterpiece.
It is a great piece and a wonderful, acoustically, just a wonderful space. It's a lot of fun to play there.
So now tell me, what is your day job?
My day job is teaching music at Oliver Ames. I've been.
Really?
Oh, is that a surprise?
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
So are you the orchestra leader?
I am the orchestra teacher at the school, yes.
Well, you know, there's a famous history there. Robert King, have you heard of him?
No.
Oh, good. Something you don't know.
Excellent.
He was a wonderful teacher and conductor, and he really, besides Anna Ames, who started the band, the Eastern Band, but Robert King was the founder of the musical department in the school system. And when I was 8 years old, I was in the basement of the Northeastern Grammar School with a little violin. Now, did I have to pay for that violin? No. I was given that violin by the school, and Mr. King was down there. I think we were 6 children, and he was teaching us how to play. But what he was really doing was he was creating the junior high and high school orchestras. So he was, you know, harvesting and nurturing the would-be violinists. And I know that he did this with flutists and clarinetists and so forth. So I was forever grateful. And then in junior high, I remember taking violin lessons from some man. I can see his face but can't remember his name. And Mr. King was there. He was conducting. And then in high school, I was the concert mistress. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it means it's the first violinist who sits in the first chair, and she's the person, or he is the person who has a perfect A on the violin, and everyone tunes to that A. Is that correct?
Pretty much so. Plus you simply being a leader of the orchestra.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
It was wonderful. I loved it. But anyway, Mr. King had a, many of you go to the restaurant, starts with a C, down on Main Street, that used to be the Covenant Congregational Church. What's the name of that restaurant?
Corfino.
Corfino's.
Uh-huh.
No, Corfino's,
No.
that's over on, in the Village Shops at Daly's Corner. But it starts with a C. Anyway, we all know what it is. And he bought that building when the Covenant Congregational people built their own on Center Street and moved. And he had a manufacturing business. It was a mail order business of sheet music, and primarily bands. And people ordered from him all over the world. He was very successful, and he created a foundation which supports some vital programs in Easton to this very day. Yeah. So anyway, he was a wonderful man, and I'll never forget him, and I know other people won't either. He just loved music, and he was so gentle, and he was a big man. You know, if you looked at him, you'd think he was a big bear, but he was the most gentle and fantastic teacher, very patient. Can you imagine with 8-year-olds how patient you'd have to be? Anyway, so Easton has a tradition of music going back to Anna Ames, who was the wife of Governor Ames, and she started the first band in Easton. So I saw you conduct an orchestra, I think, at the Congregational Church in Brockton, and I think you were there too for organ recitals.
Yes. Back a few years.
So you have your finger in many pots.
I am very fortunate. It's true. I get to work with wonderful musicians, with a lot of people in the community, and I love the fact that I have a chance to bring music different places. I love the fact that I work with younger people and with older people as well. So it's really, I feel very comfortable with sort of the musical place that I have.
Well, we are very happy that you're part of the Easton community. But tell us about your origins. You mentioned that you grew up, or you were born in the Soviet Union, which is now Russia. that you lived in Israel, and you know, I think all of us want to know where you learned your wonderful English.
I, I learned my English from listening. My very first English experience was listening to Don't Worry, Be Happy.
No.
Yes. And
That's not so old, that song.
I don't think so.
No. Well, you have such a command of the English language. I would have thought you would have been studying that since you were a child.
Well, no, I listened to that song many times, Bob Marley's version. Then actually, it was really fun when I came here to the United States. I played it with Bobby McFerrin, so that's a different version, but he also did it quite well. And by the time Bobby McFerrin was doing it, I actually knew what the words are. And then I watched a lot of movies, mostly with Arnold Schwarzenegger or Claude Van Damme, because they're very easy to understand.
Short sentences.
That's right. They're short sentences, and you kind of know ahead of time what they possibly will say.
Well, if you look to different people in Europe, the ones who speak the best English are the ones who grew up with movies that were not dubbed, but had the subtitles.
That's
and
right.
so they learned English really well. But so tell me, where in Russia were you born, and what was that like?
Oh boy. You know, when I first time came to the Oliver Ames to teach my students, I sang the way I introduced myself to them. I said, "I'm Mr. Korn. I am from the Soviet Union, and I never smile." You should have seen their faces, you know. So they do know now
You
that,
come from the enemy,
I
the
smile.
enemy.
I smile quite a bit, but I came from Siberia.
From where?
Siberia.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. What was your family doing there?
My family of origins came to Siberia from different places. They were not exiled there, actually. In a way, Siberia became home to many Russian Jews who were saved by being in Siberia versus Crimea, let's say, or Belarusia. That's how my grandparents ended up there, and my parents just never left.
So when did you leave the Soviet Union?
In 1990, before the Soviet Union fell, so it was still the old country. I have never been back since then.
But I'm sure your Russian is fluent.
Yes.
I mean, you could go back.
I have a feeling the language has transformed quite a bit since based on what I hear sometimes or read in newspapers. They use a lot of English words these days, but sort of business oriented and fashion oriented. But yes, of course, I still, with my parents, I speak Russian. So that was my place of origins. I went to school there. I grew up there. I learned how to play violin there, and then my family and we moved to Israel.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 22. So now you can put everything together. So in 1990 I was 22, and I went to school in Israel. I went to the army in Israel. My army job was playing in a chamber orchestra of Israeli army. That was my service, and then I lived a little bit in Germany and a little bit in Spain, and then I came here, and That's the best place I've ever been.
Okay. Well, tell me, what brought you here?
Um,
Was it a job?
no, it was a festival.
Oh.
It was a festival in New Jersey. And when I played at this festival, I met um, a, a few older colleagues. Um, and to be honest, they said something that I've never heard before in my life till that moment.
Really?
They said, "You are such a good violinist. We need good violinists here." And I was on my way to play the festival and go back to Israel, but since they said what they said, and I was still young and flamboyant, I said to myself, why won't I see? Okay, and it took me about 1 month to actually start playing in orchestra and teaching and stuff like that, and so it was what they said was just so welcoming. And
Well, is the rest of your family in Israel?
no, everybody is here.
They're all
Everyone.
here?
Yeah, everyone is
Well, you
here.
convinced them to come, huh?
Yeah, we all one by one we all came. Well, no, my parents came as a couple.
Right.
But my sister is here. I'm here.
Are they close by?
Parents. We're all here in Massachusetts.
Oh, how
Yeah.
nice. Yeah. Well, it's a cultural, not oasis. What's the opposite? it's a cultural center.
Center.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. But you know, we were talking earlier, and you told me that you just ran a marathon in Newport, Massachusetts, last week.
I did. So I
So you have.
I
you-
try to keep it a secret, but it seems like I tell everybody about it. Why do I do that? I am actually so excited about it. I was never very athletic. In college, I took chess as sport. And
So that's typical of Russia, right? Were you in the Soviet Union when you
yes,
took that? Yeah.
yes,
Right.
yes. I took chess as sport. I played a little bit of soccer outside with my friends, but never anything of any real significance. I started running 4 years ago, just a little bit. To be honest, the reason for me to start running was coffee.
Coffee?
Coffee. I took my children somewhere on vacation, and the place where we stayed had just absolutely horrific coffee. and the nearest Starbucks was about a mile away. So I decided that while they still asleep, I will run and get myself a cup of coffee, and then I'll come back. So that's really how it started. And
That's amazing.
I couldn't run for more than 3 minutes, and I would run for 3 minutes, and then I had to walk for another 5 or 6. But I started training. I did a few half marathons, and literally 2 weeks ago, my first marathon, and I'm so excited about it. It's just really, really nice. There were a few moments before, like the end of it, when I did say to myself, why am I doing it? I should never do it again. but the next day I started looking up some other marathons, and I want to do another one where I'll get a bigger medal. Guess where the biggest medals are for marathons?
Where?
In this country. Texas.
Texas. Oh, that of course.
Texas has
Of
the
course.
biggest
Well,
medal, 9 inches across,
No.
3 pounds.
Well,
How can I say no to
no,
something
you
like
can't.
that?
No, in Texas, everything is oversized, giant. You know.
I heard it, yeah.
So wonderful. So have you registered?
registered as a voter.
No, registered as a participant in the marathon.
As a participant of marathon. There is one thing that I need to give it a thought. It's on January 1st.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I need to come.
Well,
I need to come in agreement with that.
Now, do you know when the Boston Marathon is?
I think it's in October.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
there's one to shoot for.
I think that they postponed.
So what other talents do you have or activities that one wouldn't expect Michael Korn to indulge in?
I love cooking.
You love cooking.
I love cooking.
And besides borscht, what else do you do?
How did you know that? Yes, I do like borscht. Although my mom usually tells me that I should add something else, you know, and do it. She's a wonderful cook. But yes, I can certainly make borscht. Anything you like, risotto, that's fine. Hot chocolate, wonderful. I find peace when I cook. I like to cook alone.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to cook alone.
So, peace is a key component in your lifestyle, I think. The peace you have when you're running alone, you know, out in the woods or along a shoreline or, you know, that type of thing. And then when you're in the kitchen alone, creating a masterpiece, you are also getting a measure of peace. And I think that's important to you. And you must get that from the music too.
You are correct. That's true. It gives me a chance to think, chance to come up with ideas. So yeah, I think you're right. I actually did not think about it this way, but you're absolutely
But
right. So it gives me a way of kind of get away from the anxiety of
The
daily
chaos.
life. That's right, and
But
just
now,
focus on.
do you feel that same way? I assume you feel that way when you're listening to the music, but do you feel that same peace when you're participating?
Oh, that's very different. I think it is very different. Obviously, it depends on the music. And for instance, you know, just a couple of examples. If I perform in whatever capacity, as a conductor or as a player, if I perform music by Dmitri Shostakovich, for example, it will never give any peace to me.
No.
This is as heavy and as horrific as it often happens in his music gets. It's kind of like probably you don't get peace from reading Crime and Punishment. It's not necessarily very. It's not much of an entertainment. It is really sort of a realistic, yet philosophical. Sort of it's not written for being entertained. And on the other hand, if it's
Finlandia.
Foray, what did you say?
Finlandia.
Finlandia is wonderful. I love Sibelius.
I do too.
I love Sibelius.
Yeah.
And Sibelius didn't really like much of any other composers. Do you know that?
No.
He used to say terrible things about many of them.
But his music is so
his music
rapturing, or what's the word, and romantic, and it just takes you away.
His music is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you listen to it. Sibelius is Finnish composer.
Right.
Maybe we should say that. So,
Yes.
but you you listen to his music and you just see and feel the nature.
Yes.
The nature of this very cold and very
Yeah, the environment.
probably a very ascetic place, you know, so it has this very northern
Yeah.
sturdiness to it.
Right.
Yeah, wonderful music.
Yeah. Well, you know, we could go on and on. We both like to talk. For the viewers, I don't know if you've noticed that. But I really am happy that you did share with us your views on music, but also the fact that you have participated in a marathon, that you have other interests besides just the musical world, but that is your focus, and that is your contribution to Easton. And for those viewers out there who have not met Mr. Michael Korn, who has probably taught your child at the Oliver Ames High School, or you have been the recipient of beautiful concerts which he has conducted, please take note. This is the man who provides all of that for your children, and he also is continuing musical enjoyment and education for people of all ages. So, Michael, you are a treasure, one of Easton's treasures.
Thank you. You're making me blush, but thank you. Yeah.
Well, you're one of Easton's treasures, and I thank you so much for coming today and for opening up so that the viewers see the person inside, not just the conductor, but the real man and your emotional well-being that's really wonderful. And because you've been in so many places, and I'm sure have faced so many obstacles too and challenges. So we appreciate your being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and let's stay healthy.
Let's stay healthy.
All right.
Thank you again. And for those of you in the viewing audience, thank you for joining us today with Michael Korn and Priscilla Almquist-Olsen, your host. And we hope you've enjoyed this program as much as we have enjoyed presenting it to you. So until next time, be well, stay safe.